Big expectations for Big Sal this season, but quite frankly, if he is the second best player on this team this year, they're going to miss some expectations.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Reds. Locked On Reds is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the #1 sports podcasting network in all the land. Thanks so much for helping get us there. My name's Steven Offenbaker. His name's Jeff Carr. We love baseball. We love the Cincinnati Reds. We love talking about those things so much. In fact, we've been doing a podcast about Reds baseball for a combined 16 seasons now. On today's show, a little bit later, we're going to ask the question, who would you like to see play out of position someplace during spring training? A guy that would be just so far out of position.
Elly in the outfield.
Never seen before. Oh boy, here we go. We're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. Also, there's a new pitch, kind of, sort of. At least it has a new name. People have been throwing it for a while. We're going to talk about what it is and what it does coming up here in just a few minutes. But where we are going to begin today is with a conversation about good old Sal Stewart, because we've been talking about him in sprinkles on this show over the last several weeks, a little bit here, a little bit there, but we really want to focus in on expectations for Sal, where we think he's going to play, how we think he's going to do, all of those things. And that, Jeff, is exactly where we're going to start, because Sal's getting a lot of press. He's getting a lot of coverage. He's getting a lot of praise. Terry Francona has really invested some time and really invested some energy in Sal, and Sal's effort itself. It's all paying off. It's all coming together. He looks great. He's in tremendous shape. He has an opportunity to grab himself a starting position right out of the gate for the 2026 baseball season. You know, all of the opportunity is right there in front of Sal this year.
Easily. And there's so many projection systems that love him. And we're not just talking about Vegas. Vegas has him in the top 5 of NL Rookie of the Year odds, but even Zips, a projection system that doesn't particularly like the Reds this year, loves Sal Stewart. They have Elly De La Cruz as the #1 player in wins above replacement for the Reds this year, and they have Sal Stewart #2. While I think that's great for him individually, I think we need to see much more out of Matt McLain, Noelvi Marte, Tyler Stephenson, Spencer Steer, those guys. If those guys are as far down behind Sal Stewart as projection systems see them as, then yeah, there's going to be some problems in Cincinnati. But I don't expect that to happen this year, though, Steve. When it comes to Sal individually, though, I think there's been a lot that is made of his weight loss in the offseason. You know, we always talk about hashtag best shape of their life. Came in losing 26 pounds over the offseason. And there were some folks that were like, wait, is that a good thing? Like, did he need to? And quite frankly, I think that this is his adjustment, because we talk about Major League Baseball as being a game of adjustments. And as you adjust, other people adjust to you, and then you must adjust to their adjustments, and you're just constantly adjusting. Had he just rolled into spring training as he were last season, I think people would have been a little bit less bullish on him and a little bit less optimistic about how he could really produce for the team this year. But he has said he wants to play multiple positions. He wants to be in the lineup every day. He wants to help this team win. And I think that losing the 26 pounds, as much as a player can do in an offseason, shows just how committed he is to those words.
You know, I talked a little bit about Sal's ability to move around yesterday with Eric Matthews in the conversation we were having about Spencer Steer in left field. And Eric had mentioned he would much rather see them move Spencer Steer in to play third base for the moving around, because he feels like Steer is that not journeyman, but that a utility infielder that the Reds really use. I think Sal can really be that guy on the infield. I like Sal at first, second, and third. I don't have any problems with that. I would like to see Spencer Steer come in some and play third base. We're seeing that Sal Stewart's going to be playing second base there in the first game of spring training. Everybody unclutch your pearls. It's the first game of spring training. And much like The stats don't matter. The defensive arrangement really doesn't matter all that much. They're putting guys out there game one of spring based on who's ready, who's comfortable. There's a whole rotation of guys. There's a schedule. This is not like we're making the lineup every day based on who the opposing pitcher is. There is a schedule for getting work in. This doesn't mean anything other than Sal's going to play some second base during the season. So he's going to play some second base during the spring, and it's just his turns up first.
And I find it intriguing, like all of this stuff. I think that he's going to play more games. It's the one thing about the projection systems that they have on Sal Stewart that I disagree with. They have him playing around 130 ball games. I wouldn't be surprised if he plays over 150, especially with his positional flexibility and where he played, because he's had plenty of experience in those positions in the minors. And it's not as if the Reds are doing the thing where they're just like, well, you play third base, second base, and first base, so obviously you could play left field. They're not doing that, albeit they're doing that with Spencer Steer, but they've done that with him already. He's kind of used to this sort of rigmarole. They're not going to do that with Sal Stewart, but they're going to get plenty of playing time for him in here, especially with the way that they're going to be able to move the lineup around, Steve. I mean, you've got Gino, who can play both corners and DH. Ideally, he's going to play more third base than first base, but still, he can play both corners. And then you've got Nathaniel Lowe, who can play first base and DH. So you're going to see Sal get some time at DH, where I think had the Reds not gotten Nathaniel Lowe, we would have seen less of him getting that DH time and the ability to not completely come out of the game. He can just DH a little bit. But outside of the fact that I think that they're wrong about games played, the Zips projection system has him hitting 19 home runs with 76 RBI, and he's got 2.7 wins above replacement. Sign me up for that.
Yeah.
But I think that he can hit more home runs than that. If you're telling me that for his first full season in the major leagues, this is what he's going to produce with a 103 WRC plus, which roughly equates to about a 103, 104 OPS plus, that's golden to me.
I know that's the projection, but that feels like the floor. That feels like the floor of the projection. Like that's going to be the low end of it. He can easily exceed all of that. And look, there's lots of weird, wonky things going on in spring training right now, Jeff. And I don't know that people are feeling it in their mind when they're thinking about what this team is doing and where guys are playing and the time they're going to get. For example, right now, the Reds are playing Eugenio Suarez and having him do his drills primarily at third base. That's not how it's going to go during the season. But the reason that is happening is Gino's going to play third base for Team Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic. So the Reds are helping Gino get ready to play third base in the WBC. And then once Gino goes off to play in the WBC, the other guys will get their reps at third base. So everybody's going to get the reps they would have gotten. They're just doing it in a different order to accommodate the World Baseball Classic. Same with Sal Stewart. He's getting reps at second base right now. He'll get reps at third base once Gino goes. And they're really looking for Sal to take that first base position primarily. And, in fact, they asked Sal about it, and over at MLB.com, Mark Sheldon talked with Sal a bit about this. And Sal said, quote, "I'm just grateful for the opportunity. It's Tito's job to decide where he wants to put me. I trust his plan. My job is to go out and give it my best effort." I love that. That's the right answer. That's a 4-year big leaguer talking right there in his rookie season. I love that.
Wise beyond his years. Yeah.
And Sheldon also goes on to say that Spencer Steer has been moving around, spending time at first base, second base, and left field. Exactly what we said we thought would happen, Jeff. That's exactly what's happening out in Goodyear. And Sheldon also reports that while Gino's primarily playing third, he is doing some drills at first base. Doesn't look comfortable there yet. And that's not surprising given the amount of experience Gino has there. But it's all going to shake out. We've got a long way to get to opening day. And these guys are going to have plenty of time to get comfortable in their spots. So don't read too much into where guys are right now and where they're at on the first game of spring. Just focus on what they're doing while they're out there. Sal Stewart has a lot to prove and has a lot of opportunity to get in there and cement for himself a starting role. Won't be in the same place every day, but cement a starting role. And I think that's really important. And that's a big opportunity for a guy heading into his rookie campaign.
Speaking of a lot to prove, we heard an interesting report that Chase Petty has added a new pitch, and it's a term that we're hearing around the league quite a bit with a bunch of different pitchers. So what's up with this whole kick change thing? Because quite frankly, it's a little bit like a pitch you've already heard of. It's future season over on FanDuel right now for Major League Baseball. So many different futures that you can check out pertaining to the Reds. Their win total actually keeps falling. The win total over under for the Reds right now is at 81.5. Last time I looked, it was like 82.5. So they're making that easier for some reason. I don't understand. They're going to win like almost 90 games. So just go smash the over on that one. And then the other one that I'm looking at, National League Rookie of the Year for 2026. Sal Stewart is 7-1 to win the NL Rookie of the Year. 3 players ahead of him: Noelvi Marte from the Mets at plus 350, Connor Griffin from the Pirates at plus 370, and JJ Weatherholt at plus 460 for the St. Louis Cardinals. Check out all of that over on FanDuel, including the Olympics, the NBA, all that great stuff can be found over there because they are an official sportsbook partner of the NBA, an official sportsbook partner of Major League Baseball, and the official sportsbook of Locked On. Thank you for making Locked On Reds part of your day. And if you make us part of your day every single day, first of all, thank you. You're awesome. Maybe take it up a notch. Go ad-free with the Locked On Reds Everydayer Club. And hey, we got a promo code to help you out with that. If you use the promo code SPRING over at lockedonreds.supercast.com, you'll get your first month for free. You'll get an ad-free podcast feed, audio only. Tried to put podcast and audio together there, so I about said podio.
Words are hard.
They're hard. But you get a month free of that, a month free of our members-only Discord server where you get to talk to us, you get to talk to so many different Locked On hosts and all the fans of all the teams and so much more. More information can be found in the link of our description or at lockedonreds.supercast.com. All right, Steve, there's a term that's been going around, and really it's only been the last few days. I follow a lot of different folks that cover a lot of different teams because I love baseball and I love seeing all the different news around the league, especially within our division. Seen a couple of different pitchers in the Brewers talking about this pitch. I've seen Chase Petty being linked to this pitch. It's called the kick change. And whenever this was going out, even our friend Carlos Guevara, who was a pitcher once upon a time, was like, excuse me? What's that? Well,
sounds like the title of Jackie Chan's new movie, actually.
Kick change, yeah. Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker are back again. But when it comes to this pitch, this is a very interesting pitch, and I think that this is intriguing to see that Chase Petty is working on this, trying to evolve his game. But I think it's intriguing to note that while we've got Chase Petty, we've got all these different pitchers that are working on stuff, the key pitchers in the Reds rotation aren't working on anything. But let's start with the kick change here, because this pitch is essentially a screwball. And you haven't heard a whole lot about the screwball here recently because the screwball is just an opposite breaking ball of curveballs, sliders, sweepers, things like that. It's supposed to break the other way. A kick change is like if you married a split finger pitch and a screwball. So it has a vertical drop, but it also has an arm side fade to it. So if you're a righty and you throw this pitch, it's going to break in to right-handed hitters. And then if you're a lefty, it's going to break into left-handed pitchers and vice versa when it comes to other sides and all this other stuff. The idea being that this is a different offering than your typical breaking balls. I find this intriguing, Steve, because we heard about the sweeper over the past couple of years. We're just adding new pitches. What's next? The volcano ball, or I don't know. Maybe we come out with the Corvette ball, or maybe we should sell sponsorships to pitches.
We're just this close.
A Locked On
to
Reds
the Looney Tunes Bugs Bunny pitch becoming a reality, where it just stops and moves and turns and backs up and drops. Like, we're just that close. If these pitchers keep coming up with new ways to make this ball break, Major League Baseball 100% is going to move the mound. They just can't let it get any harder for hitters to hit this ball. And that's exactly what's happening. The more these pitchers refine ways to manipulate the baseball and make it do things, the closer and closer we're going to come to the mound being moved, because offense is already struggling with what these pitchers are able to do. These are not your pitchers of the 1960s any longer. I think those guys, if you could time travel a couple big league pitchers right now back and let them face some of the greats of the game way back in the day, those guys would be confounded. They wouldn't know what to do with some of this stuff. They may adjust to it, but initially they'd all be made to look silly because guys just weren't throwing anything like this, even as recently as the 90s, right? Like over the last 20 to 30 years, pitching has really taken on this art form of developing new ways to manipulate what the ball does. And, on one hand, congrats to the pitchers, more power to you in being able to do this. But, at some point in time, baseball is going to have to act. With this pitch in particular, I'm interesting to watch this get deployed, especially with Chase Petty, because I feel like at this point, people have unfairly taken what he did with his very, very limited work in the big leagues and said, well, he's a bust. Clearly he was overhyped. Like, first off, that first start was unfair ask. He got pressed into service with like 45 minutes notice, didn't have any opportunity to really prepare. Don't hold that against him at all. The second one, well, stuff happens. I just don't think what we saw in the big leagues is indicative of who he really is. So I'm looking forward to him continuing to try to develop, continuing to try and grow, take this pitch, add it to the arsenal, and go out there and have some success. Because I still feel like he's going at some point in time to have an opportunity to contribute at the big league level in one way or another.
I agree. And I think that adding whatever you can and trying to get a leg up in this competition, because if you're Chase Petty, you had to have seen all the stuff where they're just like, number 5 starter, Chase Burns, Rhett Lauder, Brandon Williamson. Who you got? And he'd be like in the back, like behind those 3 guys. And he'd be like, hi, yeah, I'm here too. Am I? And it's like, no, he's not really in contention here. But I think there's a lot of folks that would be mad if it were the middle of July and the Reds were really struggling for starting pitching for whatever reason, and they see the news Chase Petty called up to make the start today or tomorrow or whatever that might be. They'd be like, oh gosh, we know who this guy is. No, you don't. We don't know who Chase Petty is. He's still got a lot to prove. He has we're talking about a guy who might have hurt his expectations a little bit, but he still has the kind of scouting profile that people looked at and said middle of the rotation kind of pitcher. It's not a back end of the rotation, maybe a relief pitcher guy. This guy's got a lot of talent. So I'm interested to see how this just raises his profile as a pitcher. But the other part of this, Steve, and the thing that I thought of immediately was, okay, we hear about all these fancy terms and sweepers and kick change and all this other stuff. You know what we don't hear? Hunter Green added a new pitch. Nick Lodolo, he's working on a new pitch. Andrew Abbott figured out how to hold the ball with the back of his hand, and he's going to throw it that. We're not hearing that. All we're hearing is that these guys are buckling down, working, getting ready to start the season 1 through 4. And I forgot to mention, maybe Brady Singer's figuring out how to do a Paul O'Neill type pitch, but he's not. They're all just working, getting ready for the season because they all rock.
Yeah, the front 4, is that what we're going to call them? The front four of the rotation? Yeah. I don't know. We're still trying to figure out a name for the catching group.
Fantastic.
So but no, we're absolutely not. Trademark. We can't do that. Listen. The first 4 guys in this rotation are tremendous at their job. The more and more I think about this starting rotation, the more comfortable I get. Talked yesterday about the bullpen with Eric and the comfort level we have there. For the first time in a long time, I feel really good about the pitching staff as a whole heading into 2026. And when you look at those guys, they've all refined their craft for the most part already. The only knock against anybody in that group of 4 is availability. Right? The only thing that we keep coming back to is, can they be healthy? Can they give you X number of starts? That's the only thing that Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo need to work on this year is staying healthy, staying refreshed, and being able to start. I think, Lodolo could push out to between 25 and 30 this year, given what he did last season.
28 last year.
Yeah. So Lodolo gets you there. Hunter Green gets you to 25, 6. I think. Yeah. If hopefully they do that in a way that there's something in the tank for the postseason. But, those are the things to be watching with Hunter Green, because the stats, I think, are going to take care of themselves. The results on the mound are going to take care of themselves. Brady Singer is going to be Mr. Consistency. He's going to go out there. He's going to start 32 games. He's going to be, right around the high 3s to 4 in ERA. And he's going to be a reliable number 4 guy, believe it or not, in this rotation this year. Andrew Abbott is going to be a number
He can make
3,
32
and
starts. Yeah.
and he could make 32 starts this year. And there are a lot of teams around the league that would have him starting opening day or pitching the second day of the season if they had him. So this rotation is very, very good. And I like the fact, to your point, of they're not having to come into Goodyear and try and tinker with pitches and try and figure out how to change something up, because there's no need to change something up. The only guy in the rotation that's trying to change anything up right now is Chase Burns, who I think already has the 5th spot locked up, but I know the Reds have to say otherwise. He's working on a change up as well, trying to get himself there in what will be his first full season as a big leaguer. So I really, really like how this rotation as a whole has come together. I like what it means for the Reds in 2026. I think that Chase Burns is going to be able to learn from these other guys. And even if it's not Chase Burns, even if it's Rhett Lauder, to have that experience going before them every week, those guys are going to come along fast, those rookies. So I really, Jeff, I'm telling you, I'm so excited about where this pitching staff is. I think this is a season where Derek Johnson's going to kind of get to sit back at the game and be like, so this is what it's like when you got a staff that's put together. He's going to be able to cruise, and they might get him a boat chair for the dugout. Also, he can kick back, rock. Hey, this is nice, guys. He's not going to have to work so hard.
There's a number of people that are looking at the Reds pitching staff this year and going, boy, look at them. Man, they're pretty good. Man, look at that Reds pitch. That Reds pitching staff is pretty good. If this pitching staff was in New York or LA, they'd be talking about how that team is a World Series favorite and bar none. It's just because they're in Cincinnati that they're not getting the kind of press that they should be getting, because this pitching staff is one of the best in baseball. They're going to be proving it all season long. But you know what else? I want to see this, Steve. I want to see Elly De La Cruz in the outfield.
Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inboxes overflowing, and the one position you have to fill is still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for the sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute I'll be talking to you right now, companies like yours make 27 hires on Indeed, according to the Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this show. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Can't watch us here on YouTube? You can get us on every single audio podcasting platform in existence, I think. If you find one we're not on, you need us there, message Jeff. He's a miracle worker. He can make it happen for you, probably. Like how I declared but didn't declare. I love that for us. You can take us anywhere. You can take us in the car, take us to the gym, take Jeff for a long walk by the river. He loves that. Just get in the audio feeds today. Click the subscribe button. Also, that's where the Everydayer Club lives. Get a free month for spring. Maybe wait until, towards the end of the week so you can maximize the time there, but you get a free month. Use the promo code SPRING. That's going to save you the $5 for this month, and then you're going to be hooked and you're going to want to sign up. $5 a month, $50 a year. Just follow the link down in the show notes. All right, Jeff, now that you've started something, I didn't think this was going to be a start something segment. This was supposed to be a fun segment where we talked about something funny, haha, and now you've got everybody all pissed off because we're talking about Elly De La Cruz in center field. So Mr. Jokey, funny, ha, man, we're going to lean into it because you're absolutely right. Elly De La Cruz should play out there because it's good to have emergency options. I would like to see Elly De La Cruz get some reps in the outfield in a spring training game or two, just in case you were to have to stick somebody out there in a bind. The other thing I would like to see in a game, it's not really outside of the box, but it's kind of against what the Reds said they want to do, and that is let's see Noelvi Marte have a few reps at third base just to keep the rust off, just to keep the comfort level there, just in case something happens. Let Noelvi have a little bit of infield time in spring. Then you can forget about it. Stick that in the back pocket, and if an emergency arises, it wasn't a year ago that he played on the infield. It was a few months ago. So that's what I would do. And now go ahead. What else you got? What other problems do you want to start for us today?
Well, I just think that spring training is the time to do this. And this is actually something that we talked with Tyler Gibbons about last week, where he was like, look, here's the thing. Spring training, the wins and the losses and the runs and the stats, they all don't matter. So work some things out a little bit. If you've got a guy that cannot hit the low and away pitch, put him out there and say, that's all that we want you to focus on, or something like that. Really work on the things that you need to work on. And especially when it comes to position stuff, there's two different ways to go about this. You've got established guys. Let's see what they look like in other spots. I'd love to see Elly out in center field. I think just even for a couple of innings in a Cactus League game that don't mean anything, it'd just be kind of fun. But also you've got these other guys that you will monitor their positional usage, because some of it might mean the Reds are looking for opportunities to get them on the roster. Number one person I'm looking at right there with that is Edwin Arroyo. Do they play him at third base? Do they play him at second base? God forbid, do they move the poor guy to the outfield? However it might be, they might look for different ways to get him into the lineup, because we know that as long as Elly De La Cruz is healthy, there is nowhere for Edwin Arroyo to play, because Edwin Arroyo plays shortstop. So when it comes to all of this, like there's different ways to look at players playing out of position. Some of it is for fun. Some of it is informational, but all of it is spring training, baby.
I do have one fun one I would like to see out in Goodyear, and we won't see it, but I would love to see it, Jeff. And that is, I would like Spencer Steer to play all 9 positions in a game.
Yes,
I would like them to move him around. Let him catch an inning, let him pitch an inning, and move him everywhere else. He can play all the other spots already. We know that. Yeah. So let's just have a little fun with it and screw around a little bit.
Do the Will Ferrell thing. Yeah.
Yeah, do the Will Ferrell thing and just let Spencer Steer move around. I would love to watch that.
I was reminded by this because I was talking about this with our mutual friend Dave. What position did Will Ferrell play whenever he played for the Reds that spring training? Yep, third base. He played at third base. That was where he played to get there on all 9 positions. But no, it's spring training. There's going to be a lot of different things that we see. Take none of it seriously. Be interested in all of it, because baseball begins this Saturday afternoon. I've already got my brats ready. I got my buns ready. I got my beer ready. It's going to be a good day.
And with my best Anchorman impersonation, that's going to do it for this edition of Locked On Reds. Thanks for making Locked On Reds your first listen each and every day. For your second listen, if you're in the audio feeds, head over to Locked On MLB. Sully's got you covered over there with MLB from a national perspective. Lots of good stories, lots of humor, lots of good stuff from Sully in the Locked On MLB feed, and also lots of extra stuff coming your way in that feed. Check it out. There's going to be former Red in there talking ball. There's going to be game night coming back once the season starts in that feed. That is a big feed for Locked On with lots of stuff. For the video folks, stick around. We're going to send you to Locked On's first ever 24/7 national sports YouTube channel, where the experts of the Locked On network are talking ball 24/7. There's always something for you to watch over there in that feed. Stick around. We're going to send you there right after this. We'll be back in your feeds tomorrow, gathering up all of the news, the notes, the rumors, and the reports to keep you locked on Reds every single day.
You stay classy, Cincinnati.
Well, we're just violating all the trademarks today.